Where do you draw the line for what is considered incest? If it's close enough for you to recognize each other as family, I consider it wrong. If you happen to date someone and then find out they're your distant fifth cousin who you've never met, that's fine. If y'all go to the same family reunion, it's too close brother. If you both call the same person grandma, that's incest. Read somewhere once. I think up to second-level cousins is wrong. After that, there's the social limit. I'd feel uncomfortable with someone raised like a sister. Sure, a lot of it is social stigma, but the genetic consequences are real and can be heartbreaking. I would make my decision based on that reality. Well, my family has some first cousins, once removed. So if my first cousin had a child and I married their child, they're the shame of the family. People begged them not to do it and they didn't listen. I honestly feel like there's so many people in the world. People should avoid any kind of familial tie at all costs because it's seriously not that hard to date the other 99.9999999999999999998% of the wood that's not related to you. If you need to sit and draw out a family tree and decide how close is too close, just move on. There's over 7 billion people on the planet. Just fucking pick one that isn't related to you. I'm adopted. Everyone is fair game in my family. For me, I would never want to be involved with someone I was related to. As other people have pointed out, there are too many other non-family options to be justified to be with family. I do think that this entire issue is more complicated though than it sounds. Are you in an area where pretty much everyone is related to some extent? This will change the degree to which it is considered acceptable. Are you planning to have biological kids together? Or no children? Or adopt? Or have kids from a previous relationship? Normally, the genetic issues passed on to children are the icky part for people. Is there a power dynamic or outside factor pushing the relationship? If y'all just make each other happy, then wonderful. If you are already in a relationship with someone who turns out to be family, that's hard. If the rest of your network reacts poorly, the relationship might not survive that pressure. Again, there is the question of kids. Biological children can be a deal breaker for some people. But you could also be past this stage and committed before you find out. And even if in theory you are a hard no, would it be worth throwing away a relationship you have built over years or even decades? Quick comments. Incest is not just a taboo subject. Even in its most equitable forms, it has a high likelihood of being destructive to family relationships, and can represent psychological issues that need direct attention. There is no modern society that recognizes incest among close relatives as acceptable. But there is great variation among cultures about how incest is regulated or punished. Most incest is not consensual or equitable. The primary decision to engage in such actions comes from a person of some level of authority and is imposed on someone more dependent and with fewer resources. In other words, most incest is abusive and traumatizing. Finally, there is much more incest in the world than is ever publicly revealed. Most people keep it as a dark secret, and even if others are aware, it is not discussed. In short, if a concern about incest is something to be overcome at any level, emotionally, culturally, or practically, a romantic relationship between two individuals who share a common ancestry, however remote, should not be pursued. I think clinically all of the genealogy experts agree. It depends on how hot your second cousin is. Winking face. If the cousin is beyond third, it's okay to swerve. It is illegal, in my state, to marry within the third degree of relation. That means you legally couldn't marry your second or third cousin. I don't think it's weird. My mom's older sister was married and having kids when my mom was in high school. So her oldest nieces weren't that much younger than my mom. I grew up with my second cousins on my mom's side as close in age as my first cousins on my dad's side. And now they're kids. My third cousins. Or growing up with my kids. That's why it's considered incest, because our families are still very closely tied to each other, despite being second and third cousins. And that's really common around where I grew up. In my country, Netherlands, and my culture. So not my whole country. Cousins are okay. There is even a saying that cousins will eventually bed each other. It's not illegal either, but it can be heavily frowned upon. Cousins that start a relation tend to hide it. Come to think of it, no form of incest, except involving minors, is illegal. But the closer the relation, the more frowned upon. The GP will help you with finding out if you carry bad genes if you want to have a child together. If you're family, that's free. And they will not act weird. And it will be frowned upon if you, for example as cousins, refuse to test it before starting children. It differs in the country. My family comes from the farm side with small villages where it for a long time was nearly impossible to not marry someone not somehow blood related. In big cities it is more frowned upon. My last partner and our families were intermarried 3 times, we found out after doing a DNA test. Making it a 3th cousin, I guess? No one is really weird about that. Also, no one would even kinda know that you were 3th cousins because both families never visited the same family gatherings. Personally, I do not care. Adult brothers, sisters, etc. Just do those tests before having children. Don't intentionally increase the chances of children with a handicap if you do not have to. The relationship itself is not really harming anyone. Who am I to tell who can't love each other if both or more parties are able to make this choice themselves? I married my cousin. She grew up hot. All my friends were trying to fuck her. You know. And I'm not gonna let one of these assholes fuck my cousin. So, you know, I used the cousin thing as like an in with her. I'm not gonna let someone else fuck my cousin. If anyone's gonna fuck my cousin, it's gonna be me, out of respect. You know? I think the line is usually drawn between the first and second cousin. YMMV. I personally wouldn't with my cousins because we were raised together. But I don't see issue with 2 informed adults who happen to be cousins having relations. Whether they have kids or not, that's their business. Siblings, parents, uncles? I feel less good about that and feel that shouldn't happen, but once again, if everyone is a consenting adult, I will stay in my lane. I made out with a second cousin and it was great. If it's good enough for the queen. Stop trying to figure out if people gonna judge him because he fucked his cousin. Unpopular opinion. Parent-child relationships have psychological implications that shouldn't be allowed. Other than that, consenting adults can do what they want with other consenting adults. It isn't my bedroom. They aren't my emotions. So unless you're in their business way further than you were invited, you'd probably never know. If they're happy and healthy. Whatever.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.